to go ahead and discuss about how to go ahead and start your first startup, right? So I believe most of us who are present out here today are into the startup culture or are interested to start their first venture. Is that right? Please do go ahead and raise your hand or communicate some of the other way so that it becomes easier for me to understand. Hello? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Yes.
All right, fine. So I'll continue with my session. So mainly, let me introduce myself. I'm Rashish. I'm an entrepreneur by profession. I run my tech company for the past 10 years. My venture had been awarded as one of the leading startup from Eastern Zone in India by leading startup platform. I also work as a sales trainer, corporate trainer, motivational speaker, a startup mentor, and an angel investor. So when I go ahead and introduce myself, I mean, there are a lot of things that I do have to tell about myself. But here, majorly, I will be focusing on the factor where I would be talking more about the startups. Now, when we are talking about startups, we always think about, startups means we are going to get a lot of investment coming on board. We always think that, okay, startup means that we will be having a lot of fundings on board. So there are a lot of things which come in our mind whenever we are actually going ahead and mentioning about the startups. And one of the primary factor that plays a vital role when it comes to the startup section is how much an entrepreneur is passionate about his or her own startup. So let's start from the very beginning. Let's assume that you already have a product or a service which you want to go ahead and place in the market. You want to use the product and service that you are offering. You want to go ahead and produce that product and service to your potential market, and you want to let the potential buyers know how exactly your service or your product is better than your competitor service and product, and why exactly they would be going ahead and purchasing products and services from you. Now, to do that, there are a few important thumb rules which one needs to follow. And those thumb rules would be as following. Number one, you need to identify the products and services that we are, or a startup owner who is offering. What is the target market? Whether that product or service is B2B oriented or a B2C oriented. When I'm talking about B2B, it means business to business. When I'm talking about B2C, it's business to customer. So depending on the nature of your product, your marketing strategy, your sales strategy will be depending in the next step ahead, which I will be discussing soon. So when you would be going ahead and marking, and when you'll be rest assured that, okay, you will be targeting the B2B market or a B2C market, you would be going ahead and doing a bit of market research. That means you need to identify how exactly a particular product or a particular service can address the pain point of your potential customers. Having said that, now most of you must be thinking, what is a pain point, right? Now, pain point of a customer means, let's say, I'll give you an example. Let's say we all have faced before these app-based cabs came in the picture. We all faced, troubles in terms of, traveling to get a cab. Most of the time, the cabs used to ask for, give us $100 extra, then I would be going from distance from point A to point B. Or it's late in the night, give us $200 extra, we will be traveling. So it was more like blackmail from the cab drivers until the app cabs came into the picture. So when these app cabs were launched, obviously this was one of the pain points of the potential target customers, that they were blackmailed by the cab drivers by going ahead and asking for extra bucks for traveling even a short distance. So you have to identify what is the pain point of your customer, and based on that, you need to ensure your product or service, whatever you're offering, that needs to go ahead and take care of the pain point. The second thing that you need to do is that you need to understand who are the players in the market. That means who are the market players who are in the same nature of business. So if you have competitors in the market, you need to understand what exactly they are doing, what exactly is working for them, and how exactly they are going ahead and generating business for their own venture. Most of the time, you have to understand, when you have competitors with whom you would be going ahead and competing, these people have already gone ahead and left their mark, created their brand value. So you need to understand or rather, you need to ensure your venture has that USP so that the potential customer can deviate their service provider. That means change their service provider from the existing player to you. So you need to understand and do a proper competitor analysis to ensure you have a proper understanding who are your competitors and what exactly they are doing. The better your understanding is, more or rather higher the possibility for your startup to succeed becomes. Now, let us consider you have gone ahead and done the basics for starting a venture. That means you have done market analysis, you have gone ahead and studied the customer behavior, their pain points. You have also done competitor analysis. Now, after all these things, the next stage is to go ahead and launch the beta level product for your venture. Beta level product means, or rather, let's put it in this way, you launch your product in the beta stage so that you get an idea how exactly people are going ahead and responding to your product or services. Like most of the time, you have seen, let's say, a new app is being launched, and there are certain sections in the app where it's mentioned it's in beta stage. That means it's still under development. It's been launched to test how exactly the users are responding to it. And based on the user behavior, the app owner or people who are associated with it, they would be going ahead and changing their app specifications so that if the user is facing problem, they would be changing the app interface or introduce many new things which will be beneficial for the user. So you need to ensure that you have that pre-manufactured product or the service in ready to be launched in the market so that it becomes easier for you to go ahead and gauge what exactly is your customer behavior. But before you go ahead and have the beta stage launched, you need to ensure you have a proper team in place. Because if you do not have a proper team in place, you will face loads of problems. Number one problem that you would be facing, lack of proper team members will go ahead and make your startup not get the launch which it should. So it's very important to have proper teammates in place. So whomever you will be joining you, whether they will be joining on salary basis, or if you are a startup, maybe you will not be in the position to provide the salary. Maybe you'll be talking to the person, and maybe you'll be offering certain equity of the company or a certain share of the company. So whatever is your understanding with your team members, ensure that you have proper team members in place. So let's say, for example, you're running an IT company. You need to have your app developed or a website developed, or you need to have a proper online presence. And if you're not technically savvy yourself, you have to hire people to go ahead and do that. Or even if you're technically savvy, you have to have team members in place, because other than developing the app, being a startup owner, you should be focusing on growing your networking skills, as well as ensuring that once the app is ready, you have the right people in your contact who would review the app and would help you to take the app to the next level. So once you have the team members in place, you have the product ready for the beta launch, you do start going ahead and noting down the customer feedback. The customer feedback plays a vital role for any startup, because if you have negative feedbacks coming your way, then what happens? One negative feedback will hamper your brand image, your brand value, especially if you're a startup. Indian customers, or rather, let's consider Indian market, is a huge market. You have loads of players in this market. And the best part is the customers have loads of options to go ahead and purchase the services or the products they're looking for. So if you have a negative review, the customer will have the room to go ahead and search for another service provider in the similar field, which will go ahead and hamper your business, because there will be a huge potential for you to lose the business in the days ahead. So you need to ensure the customer feedback is there in place, and you work on those feedback. You let the customer know that it's in the beta stage and their feedback is important. And based on that, you would be going ahead and working on enhancing the service or the product that you're offering to them. Once you have everything in place, once you consider that you have a team, you have the product ready with proper feedback, you have done all your initial work, you are ready to launch your product. At that point of time comes two main factors from all the startups. First factor, marketing. Second factor, sales. Now, when we're talking about marketing and sales, most of us have an idea that marketing and sales are the same thing. We have to understand marketing and sales are not the same thing. Marketing is a procedure through which you let people know that you exist, or a particular product or a service that you are launching in the market that exists in the market. So let's say, for example, you have inaugurated a shop or a showroom. Now, if you are sitting in a corner of a street and you are waiting for people to come after inaugurating the showroom, that won't happen. There's nothing called magic. You need to let people know that you exist. And how do you do that? You do that by marketing. It can be by distribution of pamphlet, by using social media, by going ahead and using print media or television media, whatever is your budget. So you need to ensure that you let people know that you exist. And depending on your marketing strategy, you start generating potential leads. Potential leads of those customers who would be interested to purchase products or services from. Now, once you generate the potential lead, there comes the second part, that is sales. Those leads which are being generated, these are contact details of customers who might be interested in purchasing the product or services from you. Now, please note, here I mentioned they might be interested. I'm not saying they are interested. That means these people have the requirement, but it doesn't mean that they are going to go ahead and purchase the product or service that you're offering. They can also go to your competitors to check the rates, or if they want, they can switch their services product to you or your competitors. So here comes your sales skill in the picture. Here you have to ensure that your potential customers are talked to properly and you have a proper understanding of their requirement. You do a proper need analysis. You understand what exactly they're looking for and how exactly your products or services are going to go ahead and answer the question related to their query, or rather how exactly your product and services is the only answer to their query. Once you are able to do that, the customer gives a green signal and takes the product and service from you. And once that's done, you have nailed your sale. So this is the vital part for any startup. We understand that most of the youngsters who are looking forward to get started with their first venture, they're looking forward to get funded. We have different television shows like Shark Tanks coming into the picture, which is making the entire startup culture look extremely glamorous. But there is a different side of the startup culture where every other startup is closing every day because people are not understanding few basic points. The startup founders need to understand that the venture that they are opening, it's not about getting funded. It's all about getting proper customers on board, getting sales on board. And if you have the figures, if you have the revenues rolling, if you have the traction on board, you will be able to go ahead and attract any investor. So you need to ensure that you need to go ahead and have proper structure in place before you approach any investor. So talking about investor, most of the time, the next thing that the startup owners look for is to have an investor on board. Once you have everything in place, you are looking forward to have an investor. So an investor would be coming on board, would be giving you X amount of money. You go ahead and let the investor know that you need the money for either creating your infrastructure or for your advertisement purpose or for whatever you think the money is required for. If the investor feels that, okay, your needs are justified and the figures that you are showing is valid, then they would be going ahead and proceeding with the deal with you. Now, keep few things in mind before you approach an investor. You need to have two important sections ready in your company prior you approach to an investor. An investor is always investing on a private limited company or a one-man company. They will not be interested to invest or any kind of partnership firm or a sole proprietor company. So you need to register your company. And if it's a private limited company, you get a better chance to get investor on board. The second part, when you have your company running, you got your company registered. Obviously, you're doing the registration through an accounting firm or some legal expert. So you need to go ahead and take help from the legal expert or the accounting firm to ensure you have, and mostly the legal expert cannot help you in this, but mostly an accountant can help you in this particular section. You need to have proper accounting made for your company. That means your accounting figures or the balance sheet should be in the proper shape, because those figures will be reviewed carefully by the investor and his team or her team, and then they will be proceeding with the investment. Now, coming to the part, how exactly you need to choose the right investor. Now, before I proceed to that part, I see there are 20 people joining this session. I need to ask you, is there any question that anyone has so far, whatever I have covered? Is there any question? Please feel
Yes,
free to
sir.
share.
Sir, my name is Shubham Verma, and I am asking you for few questions.
Yes, please go ahead.
Sir, how can one ensure success in the first 6 months of running a startup business?
You have to be a bit louder, Shubham.
How can one ensure success in the first 6 months of running a startup businesses?
Okay, you're asking how can one ensure success within first 6 months of starting a venture? Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, that's a good question. Well, if you, to be very honest, the first 6 months, now it depends what you are looking at as success. What's the definition of success? If you can let me know, Shubha. Success, does it mean that you are getting customers? Success, does it mean you are running in profit? Success, does it mean you're having an investor on board? What exactly are you looking at?
Success means the thing that you achieve.
That means getting more customer or running the venture profit properly. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. See, first of all, you have to understand, it completely depends on the nature of business you are in. Okay? I'll share with you my experience. Now, when I started my venture, I run tech company. Okay, so I was in that section where my company was providing digital marketing work, jobs to different customers, website development jobs, application development jobs to different B2B customers. Now, if you are going ahead and serving a B2B section, your approach will play a very important role. So if you need to understand what exactly is your USP, my USP was there were different companies in Indian market, as well as like my target customers were in US and Australia. So if I go ahead and consider IT companies in Australia and US, and also even if I consider IT companies in India, they were overcharging the customers. And they were like charging by a huge margin of profit. And my USP was I was providing the similar service at the most reasonable rate, which could be afforded by a small to medium scale businesses as well. So that helped me to go ahead and gain the traction in the market. That helped me to move to the next level. In a similar way, if you ask me how exactly you can generate more customers or generate success in the first 6 months, first thing that you need to do is that you need to do a proper market analysis and competitor analysis together. That means you need to understand who are your competitors. What are they doing? What are the pricing that they are offering? And is it feasible for you to offer similar service or product at a much cheaper rate? Is it feasible? Not coming at your loss, but is it feasible for you to reduce the margin of profit when you're offering that service or product? If it is, then how exactly you're going to go about it? So these are the few factors you need to work on. If you have a proper idea about, or if you do proper case study on your competitors, half of your question gets answered. Have I answered your question, Shubh?
Yes, sir. I have another question.
Yeah.
What steps should I follow as a beginner to open a startup?
Sorry, what?
What steps should I follow as a beginner to open a startup?
Okay. So what are the steps you need to follow to open a startup? The first thing, as I said from the very beginning, you need to do, first of all, you do not just, as a beginner, you just don't go ahead and start a startup just like that, right? You need to be sure that you have the right product or services you're offering. If you do not have any right product or services, do not even think about going for or rather entering this particular zone, because this is a cutthroat zone with lots of competition. It's extremely volatile. But again, if you have the product, in your mind and the service, you need to follow a few basics, which I'm discussing from the very beginning, like market analysis, competitor analysis. You need to register your company. And after that, you need to have your product or services in place and then work on marketing and sales. So these are the few factors stepwise you need to work on. And if you have worked on all these points stepwise, you will be able to gain that first customer. And once you start gaining that first customer, slowly the next customer and customers after that follow. So if you want to get the first customer, you need to follow the marketing and sales. And for that, you need to ensure you have done a proper market analysis and you have a proper report of competitor analysis. That should be there. Okay. Shubham, you there?
Yes, sir. I asking one another question in chat box.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sir, I have a startup ideas, but I don't know how to start and where to start.
What idea do you have?
Sir, I want to open a grocery shop.
You want to open a grocery shop or grocery app? Which one do you want to do?
Grocery business.
Grocery business. All right. See, it's very simple. If you want to start a grocery business, you have to understand. It's very simple. It's very simple. And do you have any budget for doing that, for investment?
Yes, sir. 10 LP.
Sorry? Hello?
10 lakh around.
10 lakhs.
Yes, sir.
All right. You don't need that amount of money for starting a grocery business, to be very honest. If you have like funds where you can invest, you first thing that you need to do is that you need to buy a shop, or rent a shop. Before renting a shop, I won't suggest that you go ahead and invest a huge amount on rent, but again, rent a decent space, maybe around 700 to 800 square feet. And after that, you contact the wholesale, go to the wholesale market, and you get into deal with the wholesalers out there, get the best deal out of them, have the products and everything in your shop, buy a refrigerator. There are a lot of things that you need to go ahead and purchase. So if you have a budget of 10 lakhs, I don't think you even need 10 lakhs to go ahead and start a grocery shop. Maybe a couple of lakhs will be good enough for that. And after that, once you're ready, start going ahead and working on marketing. And once you start working on marketing, you can use social media. You can use you can distribute pamphlet in the area where you are opening. Make sure that you choose the right location. That is very important, because if you are actually opening a grocery shop in let's say in a location where there's no one who is staying, that will not really work. Make sure that you're opening the grocery shop in a residential area, and then you go ahead and have someone to go up to different people, knock at their home and ask them that what exactly do they require on a regular basis, and promote your shop one by one. So there are a lot of things that can be done, and I think it's pretty easy to go ahead and set up a grocery shop these days. And in the long run, if you want, you can also set up a grocery app so that people can use the app at their residential area, and they can place the order, and you receive all the orders and you deliver the orders accordingly, right? So you can go about it. That's a very good idea. I think grocery shops are the only recession-free business idea as of today. Okay. So Shubham, I hope I've answered all your questions, right?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for answering all the questions. Ask the participants. We really appreciate your excellent guidance, sir. On behalf of the organization committee, I don't like to express my heartiest vote of thanks to our excellent, outstanding speaker, Indrashish Chatterjee. Today, we got the opportunity to listen to an interesting and discussion on topic how to start your first startup by Indrashish, sir.
Okay. All right, Shubham, pleasure talking to you. All right, I have 15 more minutes because I'll be here till 5. So I will I'll rather move to the last part of this session. And the last part is where I will share with you guys tips on how to go ahead and get the investment, or rather how to crack the first deal from an investor. So when we are going ahead and having an investor on board, we need to ensure that the person whom we are having on board, even that person is experienced in the field in which we are looking forward to grow our business. For example, if we are having a person investing in a business who is into real estate, and we are running a tech company, that will not really fetch any benefit, because as a startup founder, you need to understand one thing, that if you are looking forward to have an investor, that person should not only bring money on board, but that person should also bring his contacts, his expertise, his knowledge on board. So if the investor is not going ahead and adding value to your venture, is not helping your venture to grow to the next level, what happens is he's going to give you money and the money is going to be used, but your company, your startup, you as a startup founder will not be growing to the next level. One of the biggest example of that, if you are following Shark Tank, is the venture called Rare Planet. If we go to different airports, you would be seeing their outlets of Rare Planet. And the founder of Rare Planet, they went to Shark Tank, they pitched, and one of the shark was interested to invest. And she joined the venture as a co-founder, and she helped the venture not only by investment but also by helping the venture get contacts to move to the next level. So you need to ensure, just because someone is coming ahead and offering an X amount of money to you, you do not allow that person on board. Another example of that is Apple. We all know Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs is the person who we know he invented Apple as a brand. And when the Apple as a brand was created, obviously there were a lot of investment that was coming into the picture. So unfortunately for Steve Jobs, he gave 51% of the company share to the investor section. As a result, in the long run, he was asked to leave the company which was founded by him, and Steve Wozniak. So you've got to understand one thing. The people whom you are involving in your venture, in your startup, whether it's a grocery store or a tech company or a real estate company, you need to ensure that you trust them, number one. Number two, they should add value to your venture. And last but not the least, they should help your venture to grow, and they should be ready to sail in the same ship. That means if the company is going through downfall, they should be ready to take the hit. And if the company is growing, they should be ready to sail with you. So these are the few things that you need to keep in mind. And if you are focused as an individual to go ahead and ensure that your startup moves to the next level, you have to be the captain of the ship. Do not let that charge go in the hand of the investor, because the investor will always look forward to take over. Investor will give you the money and will look forward to hire you. They will try to use you as their employees, which is not going to go well. Most of the investors will do that. I'm not saying all of them will do it, but most of them will do it because they are investing certain amount of money. So you need to have proper investors on board who understand business, who is ready to add value to your venture and take your venture to the next level. So with that, I will end this session today. I guess Shubham asked me a few good questions. Anyone else who's going to ask me any other question, please feel free to share.
No doubt, sir. Let's wind up the session.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much, all of you. Thank you for the opportunity to come and interact with you. I hope you guys have had a good time and learned something from this session. Do take care of yourself. I'll log off for today. Take care. Thank you for your time.